Council of Business between the US and Cuba that was recently created, but it is working very hard in the main objective that we share, that is to eliminate all the obstacles to have a normal economic relationship. But the main obstacle, I have to say, that is the economic, commercial, and financial blockade, call it sanctions, call it blockade. But we're talking about the same thing, and we share the feeling, the objective that this would be very good to be eliminated. So we are going to speak a little bit about Cuba, about this economy. We are going to talk about the present situation, how we are working to update our economic model, and the perspective of economic US-Cuba relations. After the crisis in the 90s, Cuba has been gradually recovering from its economic situation. Remember when the Soviet Union disappeared and many other problems we faced in that period, our internal product has decreased, accumulated in 3 years of 35%. So it was terrible. It was a very hard economic crisis for us. But since then we have been working together in order to recover. And now we can show in the last 10 years an average growth of 4.1%. Last year, our growth was 4% too, after a couple of years in which there was a deceleration of the growth. And it's good to remind you that this is above the average in our region, in Latin America and the Caribbean. In 2015, all the economic sectors of the main ones grew in relation to 2014. In particular, we are mentioning here the sugar industry, which was 17%, construction was 12%. The manufacturing industry owns 10%, and in the tourism sector, we received for the first time more than 3 million visitors, 3.5 million visitors. The record was 2014 when we received 3 million visitors. And who knows where are we going to go when the American citizens are allowed to do tourism in Cuba. Some studies say that millions of Americans will visit us, and that is a good perspective. I like that, almost, although I have to say that we are a little bit concerned about where are they going to spend the night. We will have to invest a lot in hotels and so, and all the infrastructure, but it's a good challenge we will face it. And if the economy was growing, we were able to maintain the level of recent years in the services, social services to the population, the health, the education, where we have big achievements in the past, we have maintained this. We have mostly health and education indicators that we compare with those of the first world countries. We have improved the performance of the trade balance of goods and services. We have increased the weight of the so-called higher added value items, and that includes professional services, especially medical services, the biotech sector, the pharmaceutical industry also, with products that are of high quality. And we have worked very hard to diversify our insertion in the international economy. We have increased the exchange in trade, finance, investment, and cooperation. We have trade relations with more than 25 countries. We have tripled in the last 10 years the trade in our country. And there is an active role of Cuba or presence in different Latin American organizations promoting the integration. Something that is important is the work we have developed trying to rearrange our international financial obligations. The most recent result was the renegotiation at the group ad hoc of the Club of Paris, where we, last December, finished the negotiation with a very good agreement, I believe, for both parts. And this will help us to open new doors in Europe, in Japan, to access medium and long-term credits. We have practiced a policy in the last few years in which our government is insisting about with the enterprise that they should not assume obligations, financial obligations that they could not face. At some point in our history, there was a kind of very happy way to face this, and we assumed a lot of debts that later on we could not honor. So now we are trying to have a strict compliance with every debt we assume. And if we are not sure that we could assume that obligation, then it's better not to assume it at all. So all this process has helped to stabilize the financial relations with Cuba. And in December last year, Moody's qualified us in a better way instead of stable, positive situation. Let's talk a little bit about this process of updating of our economic model. First of all, we should be clear that this is a process that we decided on our own. This is not related to the process of normalization of the relations with the US or with other international events. It's something that we are doing because we are convinced we need to do it. We need to improve the efficiency of the Cuban economy. And in this regard, we approved in 2011 the so-called guidelines of the economic and social policy of part of the revolution. There are 313 guidelines. And this process was consulted with the population. Millions of Cubans gave their opinions, and they were taken into account. I have to say that 70% of the guidelines suffered changes. There were samples in which a single person has an opinion, and when we analyzed it later, we could realize that it was a good opinion, the person was right, and even it was a single person who took that into consideration and changed the document. So this is very good because when we approved finally this in the Parliament, we have a lot of support from the population. In this process, there are some new, let's say, documents or projects that we are supposed to discuss in the next Congress of the Cuban Communist Party that is going to be held in April this year. One is the conceptualization of the Cuban economic model. We have decided about these guidelines and we have work in the implementation of them, but we need to have clear the concepts, what we want to do, why we want to do it, and have a theoretical base for the future of our economy. And the second one is a program for economic and social development until 2030. We need to have a long-term vision of what we want to do in matter of priorities, objectives. We are defining the strategic sectors and those other transversal axes that we need to take into account in order to respond to the needs of the country, of the development. This policy of renewable and efficient use of energy also up to 2030 is very important because we need to change the pattern of the matrix of the generation of energy in Cuba, which is depending mainly on the burning oil, and we need to use better the renewable sources. Now it's only 4.3% of the electricity in the country, and we believe that with certain investments that we have studied, we could reach 24% in 2030. But that would imply invest in biomass, in the use of the sun energy, in the use of the air, the wind energy. The goal is to transform step by step the situation of these use of renewable sources to create energy. The operation of state enterprises is other change, important change we are promoting. We need to separate the state from the enterprises. Even if they are state-owned enterprises, the state should act as a shareholder and should come to the enterprise maybe by the end of the period, collect the profits, to give some opinions about the policies or something, but not to make decisions in an everyday basis, and that's what we used to do in the past, and we are changing. We have created kind of corporation, we call them higher business management organization. That is a translation that I'm not quite sure it's good. But let's talk about corporations that are going to manage the enterprises as kind of holding of enterprises. And the state should remain out of that. We were talking in the meeting in the council this morning about this, like with some samples. We need to enhance the work of the board of government of the enterprises and strengthen the autonomy and the powers to make their own decisions. We also recognize the non-state forms of ownership and management. In other words, we are recognizing the market to play a role in our economy. Some examples of what we have done in the recent years is that we have delivered 1,500,000 hectares of land for free to the farmers with only one condition: make the land productive. Create about 500 non-agricultural